In his house, he had a Xalatath body pillow that he made. It even came complete with this little thing that sort of looked like a fleshlight in between her legs. I have never seen so little hype for a new World of Warcraft expansion in all my years. And I've seen, you know, people be very, I was there during Mists of Pandaria, everybody. I was there, gentlemen, when everybody was losing their minds saying, oh, this is Kung Fu Panda, this is a joke, Warcraft is dead, you know, the old Warcraft world has faded away, and now everything is just going to be a bunch of like child pandering nonsense. I was there for that, but let me tell you something, there was vastly more hype for Mists of Pandaria than there was for Midnight, and I kind of want to talk about why that is, why there's so little hype for Midnight, and what hype does exist and why it exists. So first of all, let's just start with something good, because nobody wants to listen to a bunch of negativity. You always want to start on a positive note, okay? So first and foremost, there is only one thing about World of Warcraft Midnight that everybody is unanimously excited for, and that is player housing. Even Blizzard themselves, with like their recent like player housing cinematic and stuff, is showing that even they know that the only thing people really care about in Midnight is player housing. And it makes sense. I mean, player housing looks absolutely fantastic in Midnight. If you've had an opportunity to play around with the new system and design like your homes and stuff, like, you know, it's an incredibly powerful, incredibly ingenious player housing system. It is the best player housing system ever made for an MMORPG, at least in my opinion, with all the ones that I have checked out and that I have played around in. And so it's no surprise that Blizzard is marketing and milking this element of Midnight so damn hard. Like, you wouldn't even know that there's other things coming in Midnight with like how much Blizzard talks about player frickin' housing. I mean, in the recent State of Azeroth address video that they did, like 95% of that video was them just talking about player housing, talking about all the cool things that you can get in player housing, talking about like, you know, the standard, what's a cool creative term for it? But you know that like that talk that like developers and like CEOs and businesses do, where they're like, World of Warcraft is not a game, it is a family. You know, it's about coming together and, you know, becoming friends and forming relationships and stuff. Yeah, that bullshit, that stuff that you're just like, come on, just get to the fucking point, you know, whenever they go on those big old rants, you know what I'm talking about? Like, you know, it was just player housing and that BS talk for the majority of like the State of Azeroth address. And, you know, like to someone, like I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and we were talking about Midnight, and player housing was the only thing that he knew about when it came to Midnight. He had no idea. He doesn't play WoW, or rather he did play WoW, but he doesn't play anymore. And it's like, he didn't really know anything about Xalatath. He didn't know that demon hunters were getting a new spec. He didn't know about the damn, like, what's that stupid new race they're putting in frickin' in Midnight? The ones that do the like the big like dumb like bumbling idiot dance. Like, you know what I'm talking about? The Heronir, I think they're called. He didn't know nothing about any of that. The only thing that he knew was player housing was on the way. And anyway, so the point is, player housing, it like Blizzard's marketing it really hard. Like it's the thing that everybody is most excited for. But here's the problem. Here's the problem. Most people are not completely like moronic. Most people have some degree of prudence in their brain, okay? Like, I don't think, you know, everyone's practicing the virtue of prudence, but some people, they have a sense of it. And what I think I'm seeing in the WoW community and people outside of it is they're looking at Midnight and they're saying, damn, player housing looks really cool, but, here comes the but it's a feature that is not enough to keep them hooked to the game. And they know it. Like, they know that if they were to purchase Midnight and they were to play it, they are going to have so much fun with player housing, myself included. But the thing is, is that player housing, like once you've built your house, you're done. You know, you probably don't want to go through the tedious and arduous task of building another home, or maybe you do. But the point is like after like however many hours, like several hours, you know, a dozen hours or so of maybe designing your home and getting everything that you need, or, you know, designing, you know, a home for like, you know, your main character and like 2 of your alts or something, you're probably going to get bored. You know, is player housing a feature that is going to keep somebody hooked on the game and playing for like uncountable dozens of hours? Probably not. It's probably something that you're going to check out. You're going to think it's really awesome. It's really fun. It's really cool. And then you're probably going to get a little bored of it after about like maybe like 3 or 4 hours of playing around in the system, and you're going to move on. Now, this is something that Blizzard themselves knows. So Blizzard is fully aware that this is what is going to happen. And that is why they're doing these neighborhood events, which we haven't really had an opportunity to see yet, like, you know, what these neighborhood events are going to be like, because they're coming out with the Midnight expansion. And I have not checked them out on like the beta or the alpha, because, you know, I get into like the alphas and the betas for World of Warcraft, just because like I'm a content creator, or maybe it's just because I get lucky. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's not like I ask Blizzard like, hey, let me in or something, but maybe they have like my account flagged or whatever. But I have the opportunity to play like the alphas and the betas as Nixxiom. But like, I don't really play them too much because I don't want to like spoil the whole experience for myself. But that's you know, that's another topic. But the point is that I'm losing my train of thought. We have not seen the neighborhood events, the things that like change out every so often, you know, creating kind of more incentive for players to log in, to engage with their neighborhood community, to keep returning to the player housing system, so on and so forth. And I think that system, I mean, we're going to see like how it plays out, but I think that system is actually what's going to truly, you know, determine whether or not player housing, you know, has more engagement behind it, other than just, you know, decorating your home for like 2 hours and then getting bored and then moving on to like, you know, doing raids and dungeons and, you know, back to PvP and stuff. Like, there's a lot of people in the WoW community that are probably like, you know, interior designers within their own mind, but most people are not. And so anyway, I'm kind of losing my train of thought right now. Keep in mind, it is 7:30 in the morning. I've only just woken up, fellas, so forgive me if I am a little scatterbrained right now, a little bit of brain fog. I've just only had my coffee. But anyway, yeah, so player housing looks cool. People are excited for it. You know, it's clearly going to be a system that is going to last into future expansions. Blizzard is going to really be able to expand on it as time goes on, and we'll see. But the problem is like, you know, it's a great system, but is it really going to keep people like, you know, playing Midnight? Is it the thing that's really going to bring people into the expansion? Maybe for some, but I think that a lot of people that have played WoW in the past and are looking at the game right now, they're probably just thinking to themselves like, yeah, that looks cool, but I don't know if that's going to be worth buying a whole expansion and then paying $15 a month. Especially considering that, I'm going to say this, and this is going to be a little controversial. Some of you guys aren't going to understand what I'm about to say. There are a lot of people out there that when it comes to player housing or any sort of building experience in a video game, the only thing that they want to do is build giant cocks. Okay? Like, you know that dude, you know that guy from the Minecraft, you know, PvP server that like right next to the spawn, he built like the giant big brown cock, like shooting out fucking lava and stuff. Like, there is a huge amount of people that they love the idea of player housing in World of Warcraft just so that they can make the most terrifyingly disgusting, offensive, whatever, like home builds that like you can imagine. For me personally, here you go. Here's the big controversial opinion. For me personally, I think people should be allowed to do that. I think that You should be able to go to a neighborhood in World of Warcraft called like Dick Central, and like it is just nothing but these like like just some dude is living like, you know, in a house that looks like a giant pair of tits. One dude is living in a home that looks like a big flaccid wiener. Like, I think that's great, you know, but I'm a little bit of an anarchist when it comes to, you know, player creativity and letting players do what they want to do. But maybe that's just me being a little bit of a dickwad and not being sensitive to other people's feelings, to use some of that stupid PR talk that like Blizzard and friends would say. But the point is, like, Blizzard, unfortunately, however, does not see things the way that I see it and the way that probably many of you see it. And Blizzard does not want their neighborhoods to be filled with giant wieners and, you know, giant pairs of titties. Instead, they have put this system in place that it's kind of like a no fun allowed thing, where it's like you can kind of go around and report people for like questionable things like in their home or like in their yards or something. So if you were to make a giant image of like, there was this one dude, he like made in his house, he had a Zalatath body pillow that he made that was inside like the bed next to where his character would sleep. And it was great. And it even like came complete with like, what's the word I'm looking for? It even came complete with this little thing that sort of looked like a fleshlight in between her legs. And yeah, Blizzard doesn't like stuff like that. So you can like report people, and you better believe there's going to be some people running around reporting anyone that does some weird stuff in their home. I think that's a shame, and I think that that's actually like where I'm going with all this is I think that you're going to drive away a lot of people from player housing by enforcing something like that, because there are a lot of people when you introduce a building system like into your video game. Yes, there's a lot of people that want to go in and make like these beautiful castles and intricate designs and stuff. But then there's other people that just want to like hop into like the building system, whatever it is, Minecraft or player housing, and they just want to build something completely stupid. They want to like build a house. Like, I don't even know if this would kind of fall like, you know, in Blizzard's like, oh, don't build this sort of thing. But like they want to build like a house that looks like a big man with like his mouth open, and you can like, you know, you walk into his mouth and like, you know, like, I don't know, like, I know that in Blizzard's mind, they just want, you know, everybody to kind of have this very, what's the word I'm looking for? They want to have, they want like these very beautiful homes. They want them to look very Warcraft-esque. They sort of want them to fit into the lore, but I don't know. I think by like putting like some rules in place saying like, oh, you can't like go insane with your builds or whatever, like, you know, I think that you're going to drive away potentially a number of people that could very much be willing to be paying customers if they could make their big crazy grief house. Now, I know that people are going to leave comments down below, and they're going to call me a complete fucking idiot. I know you're going to say it. Like, there's some dude who didn't even make it this far in the video, and he's like, this guy's a fucking idiot, bro. Like, he wants people to build dicks. Like, you expect me to build my Stormwind-esque castle, and you think that Blizzard should let a guy next door literally build a giant dick, like, across the way? Like, and I have to look at that every time I look outside the window? Like, this guy's a fucking idiot. Listen, I understand the counter argument, okay? Like, I totally get it. And you know what? If I had my big, beautiful Darnassian tree or something filled with all my night elf hoes, like, yeah, I probably wouldn't want some, like, big galactic-sized, like dwarven butthole, like, you know, right across the street. So I understand, but I don't know. I'm just... Personally, I just think it's funny. But anyway, so let's return to the original topic, though. Let's return to the original topic, the lack of hype for Midnight. So now we're kind of moving into the negatives more proper, okay? Like, why are so many people not hyped for this expansion? Well, number one, like I said, player housing. Looks cool, like, but is it something that's gonna make people want to pay, you know, $15 a month and buy an expansion and play for hours on end? You know, it'll engage people, at least for a little while, but then probably not. We'll see. But there's other things too. So one of the main reasons why I think that nobody like gives a fuck about Midnight is because of Xal'atath. Let's just start with her. Xal'atath is she is one of the most boring villains that Blizzard has ever made. And we have been sitting with her for so damn long now and nobody fucking cares. Okay? I'm gonna do a comparison between Xal'atath and World of Warcraft's best written villain, and that is Garrosh Hellscream. Okay? Whether or not you agree or disagree, you gotta understand there's a lot of people out there that love Garrosh Hellscream. And there's people out there that unironically look at Garrosh Hellscream and they do not see him as a villain. Like there are people that when they make that joke, like Garrosh did nothing wrong, they ain't, oops, wrong button. They ain't playing around. You know, they're being dead serious. So like, oh, Garrosh did nothing wrong. And I'm gonna explain why they say that here in a second. And I'm gonna compare it to Xal'atath. So first and foremost, Xal'atath has been around for a very long time. You know, she has been a villain that has been established for quite a while. So, you know, it's not like Blizzard has not had time to develop this character. You know, we've known her or about her since the Legion expansion. All right. So, you know, it's just like Garrosh. Like Garrosh was originally introduced in TBC, and then we saw him more in Wrath of the Lich King. Then we saw him more in Cataclysm, and then we kicked his ass in Mists of Pandaria, and then we finally killed him in Warlords of Draenor. So like Xal'atath has been around for a while, just like Garrosh Hellscream has been around for a while. But like, here's the difference between Garrosh Hellscream and Xal'atath. So Garrosh, we'll start with Garrosh. In TBC, when we meet Garrosh, he's like this young man, and he has heard that his father was the first one to drink the blood of Manaroth and corrupt the orcs and and like, you know, lead his people into this like great doom or whatever. And he feels this great shame about it. Then he meets Thrall in TBC, and Thrall tells him, no, your father, maybe he was the first person to take this foul step, but your father was a hero. Your father saved us. Your father died honorably for the Orcish horde. And Garrosh is moved by this. He is like, suddenly now, he has been pulled out of the pit of despair. And now he actually feels like he has a family legacy to live up to. Immediately, let's just stop right here. Immediately, we can sympathize with Garrosh, and many people could probably even relate to him. People that maybe feel great shame because of, you know, their father or their parents or someone in their family. You know, maybe, I don't know, like maybe there are some people in your family that are a bunch of like alcoholics or like drunks or something, and you feel like terrible, like, oh, I hate that I'm related to these people in some way. You know, but then imagine one day, you know, your drunk uncle who has always been like this hugely like rude, like cruel, like piece of shit. Suddenly you're told like, no, like your uncle actually did all these like incredible things. Like, you know, he saved people's lives, and, you know, he was a very like noble and honorable man and stuff. You know, it would blow your mind. You'd be like, whoa, no way. You're talking about my uncle? You know, and it might make you actually feel proud of your blood a little bit, like proud of your family. And, you know, I don't know. So hold on a second. So anyway, So that's how things start off with Garrosh. You know, we start off with this kind of broken individual, and Thrall gives to him back his pride. And that's really cool. Now, Xal'atath, on the other hand, she starts as a damn dagger, okay, that wants to, you know, whisper in your brain so that she can do evil things and like amass power and, you know, bring the void into Azeroth or whatever. And for the past few expansions, nothing has changed. You know, we don't know anything about Xal'atath. She's just the Harbinger. She wants to bring the void into Azeroth, doesn't like the light, She's an evil dagger, like an ancient one, sort of, and she's evil. And that's pretty much it. Like, why does she want to bring the Void to Azeroth? Because she's an agent of the Void. Okay. You know, why is she this evil, manipulative, whatever? Like, oh, well, because she's just some ancient evil. There's nothing there. It's just like, okay, now I know some like butthole is gonna appear in the comment section and he's gonna be like, well, actually, Nixxiom, in the deep lore, you know, like Xal'atath long ago, like, you know, she had like the Titan Azeroth that is like sealed within the planet, you know, stole her fucking pair of shoes while they were in elementary school together. Bitch, like, Xal'atath don't got no background story, okay? And even if she does have a background story, like beyond, I'm the Harbinger and I'm bringing the Void because I'm evil. Like nobody knows it. No one's aware of it, right? Like, are you aware of it? No, of course you're not aware of it. Hold on, what do I gotta do here? I gotta get some ghoul fangs. I'll do that in a little bit. Let's go back here and turn this quest in. So let's return to Garrosh though. Let's return to like progression, okay? Like this progressive quote unquote evil. So Garrosh, after getting his pride back, you know, he goes to Northrend. He's appointed like this general as an opportunity to prove himself. He goes to Northrend. He learns about honor and stuff from Saurfang. During like this time, Garrosh and like Thrall butt heads quite a lot because Thrall is sort of like almost like this penitential Catholic where he looks at like the orcs and he's like, oh, you know, we were so bad and terrible during our time being corrupted by demons. So we need to like kind of penance ourselves by like living in a fucking desert and like starving to death and like living under the blistering sun or whatever. And Garrosh looks at this and he's like, why are we doing this? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, you know, we were controlled by demons, bro. Like, we were tricked. Like, we don't need to like hold that over ourselves forever and live in a damn desert and be miserable for the rest of our lives. Like, you know, there's like this little short story where like Thrall and Garrosh are talking and Garrosh is sitting there saying like, your people are literally dying. They're struggling here. And you have all these resources that are present right over there in Ashenvale, which is not that far away. And why are you not seizing like those resources? Why aren't you doing it out of necessity? And Thrall's like, nah, man, we can't do that, man, because that would be mean to the Night Elves. And Garrosh thinks he's an idiot. So immediately we have like this clash of philosophy. You know, Thrall thinks that he's caring for his people by like making them do almost like this spiritual penance so that they can reflect on like the sins of the past. And, you know, Garrosh is a little bit more pragmatic, a little bit more material, where he's just like, dude, our people need like food and water and like comfy living, like a place where they can live and grow fat and be comfortable. And you are not providing that as the war chief. So we have this different, you know, this clash of philosophy. Later on, you know, when Garrosh gets appointed as war chief, everybody treats him terribly. You know, Karen Bloodhoof treats him terribly. Vol'jin treats him terribly. They see him as like this immature, stupid, bullheaded kid. You know, Karen Bloodhoof even accuses Garrosh of killing a bunch of druids in Ashenvale, which Garrosh didn't even do. And then Garrosh and Karen have this mock Garrosh where they fight each other, and like Garrosh doesn't even realize that Magatha Grimtotem poisons his freaking weapon. And do I need to get a spider leg? I guess not. You know, he doesn't even realize that whatchamacallit, like his weapon is poisoned. So he kills Karen Bloodhoof, didn't even mean to do so, and that makes people hate him even more. And like Garrosh is like this victim of like bad circumstances where he keeps getting blamed for things that he didn't do, and people are treating him like garbage when he doesn't deserve it. Anyway, so moving on, like, this is why like people say like, oh, Garrosh didn't do anything wrong, and people can sympathize with him. And then of course Garrosh eventually gets to the point that because like all the trolls and the Tauren and whatnot are treating him like absolute dog shit, and you know, you got Sylvanas Windrunner running around with her Valkyr like during Cataclysm bringing people back from the dead, and Garrosh is sitting there like, you know, this is a little bit like weird, this is sketch, this isn't really honorable. Garrosh looks at like his allies in quotes, and he's like, dude, fuck these people. These people are a bunch of fucking idiots. Like what, like, and what does he do? He kicks him out of the horde and he says, you know what? My responsibility is to my people and to like their, you know, well-being. So you know what? Fuck all you guys. You're out of the horde, and I am going to lead the orcs into a new age of prosperity, you know, and we are going to, you know, take like a good life for ourselves by force and by like, you know, questionable means if necessary, you know, if necessary. Garrosh is such a fantastic character because the thing is, because of all the tragic things that have happened to him over the years, and because of, like, you can relate to Garrosh. This is what makes him such a good villain, because you can relate to him. You can understand why he is doing what he's doing. You can even make the argument, oh, Garrosh did nothing wrong. And you can say Garrosh is just doing this for his people. Garrosh was mistreated by his allies. Garrosh was looked down upon by Thrall. Garrosh became who he was, you know, because of how Thrall treated him. And, you know, you can truly relate to Garrosh. And then you can even see how his, like his choices led him to do these questionable things, you know, like absorbing the heart of Yasharaj or whatever it was, and like, you know, seizing power that he didn't necessarily need in order to reach the goals that he supposedly had. You can see how like his almost like noble goal of like, hey, you know, I want to help the orcish horde restore itself to, you know, something of decency out of this desert or whatever. You can see how that noble goal becomes corrupted over time, as noble goals often do, and it becomes like this big like lust for power and so on and so forth. This is why Garrosh is so interesting as a villain. He's so incredible. You know, if you were like an orc player or something back in the day, you might genuinely look at Garrosh, even to this day, and say like, that's my war chief. You know, that guy was fighting for me. That guy was my homie. And like other people, you know, they won't understand. You know, the trolls won't understand, and the Tauren won't understand, and the Forsaken won't understand. But if you were an orc, you understand. Like he was your guy, you know, from day one. And so anyway, yeah, I mean, like it's I don't know, like I found like that Blizzard did Garrosh like just so well. And then again, you compare that to Xal'atath. Like Xal'atath is just evil. Xal'atath wasn't mistreated by anyone, to my understanding. Xal'atath wasn't like, you know, she doesn't have some tragic backstory where, I don't know, like her allies were like betrayed her, or she felt like, you know, she had no choice in the matter of like, you know, becoming the Harbinger or something. I don't know, like she doesn't have like any true proper, you know, deep backstory to make her this relatable villain, to like create like depth behind her decisions and stuff. And that's a shame. And this is one of the main reasons why nobody is excited for Midnight, because they look at Xal'atath and they look at her big invasion of Azeroth and they're just like, you know, they're just waving their hands dismissively, like just kill her and move on to the next villain. Like that's what people are thinking. Just get her out of the way and move on to the next villain. You know, at least Sylvanas Windrunner back in the day, like, you know, Sylvanas, we ran with her for a while and people got really fucking pissed off at Sylvanas Windrunner. She went from being one of the best fucking characters in World of Warcraft, one of the most beloved characters in the game and in its story, to being one of the most hated. And that's a topic for another time. I mean, I could talk about Sylvanas for a while, but, you know, at least Sylvanas, you know, had a little bit of depth behind her. You know, she had seen like Oblivion, you know, when she fell off of Icecrown Citadel, and, you know, she had seen, you know, the Shadowlands apparently, and been contacted by the jailer, and but you know, all this stuff. At least, like, you know, we kind of got it a little bit. Like we understood, like, okay, you know, Sylvanas is doing all this stuff because she has this very weird relationship with death. Like, you know, we understand that at least. Xal'atath doesn't have any of that. moving on, you know, like what are some of the other things about like Midnight for their, you know, for you to be excited about? Well, demon hunters get a new spec. Okay. You know, if you're not a demon hunter, like you don't fucking care. You know, it's not a new class. It's just a new spec. You know, imagine if like, you know, tomorrow they were like, dude, we're making this new WoW expansion called World of Warcraft Who Gives a Shit, and druids get a 5th spec. And druids get a new spec, everybody. Oh. Okay. Who cares? Like, you know, I don't play a druid, you know, like most people would say, like they wouldn't care. So the new demon hunter spec, no one fucking cares. You know, the only people that care is demon hunters. All right, and who cares what a demon hunter player has to think? You know, right, high five? Okay, that's what I thought. Anyway, you know, Death Knights are vastly better. We can all agree with that. Anyway, so no one cares about that. The new allied race, okay, you know, it's just some big, dumb, gorilla-looking night elf. That's all it is. You know, it's just take a night elf, you know, kind of bulk them out a little bit, make them look like a big, dumb gorilla, and like, there you go. You know, and oh, they hang out underground and stuff, and they like, you know, like fuck tree roots or something, and they also dance like complete fucking idiots. Like, there you go, bro. There's the new race. No one fucking cares. You know, it's just another allied race. You know, I think like Blizzard has been like polluting the game with just more and more allied races, and you know, there's a lot of people out there that, you know, they love their new races and stuff. But there's so damn many at this point. I think that people are subconsciously thinking, okay, Blizzard, like new races are cool, but like, you know, yeah, you've given me a new colorful ass to look at, but like, why don't you just focus more on like the game, like the gameplay? You know, what am I doing with that allied race? You know, when I'm playing that damn Haranir or whatever, or Haradir, whatever the fuck they're called. I say, I don't even care. Like, you know, I hear so much about player housing. I don't even hear anything about the damn new playable race. Anyway, like, you know, like you got to focus more on the game, man. You know, the adventure, the world. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so there's that. What else is coming out in Midnight? Like, man, I got to remember off the top of my head. I forget what the system is called, but where you go out in the world and every now and then you're bounties or something. Like, you're out in the world, you're doing your business, you're living your best life, and then suddenly, you know, some elite mob will attack you randomly every now and then. And you kill it, and you get like special rewards because you've like flagged yourself to be attacked by like the big dumb monster whenever like you're out in the world doing whatever. Okay, like that's cool. Like, I'm not saying the system looks bad. You know, I think it's interesting, but is that really gonna hype people up? Like, wow, I can't wait to be like questing in Raven Hill, you know, or like questing in like, you know, Eversong Woods, you know, more accurately to the expansion. And then sometimes, every so often, some big dumb idiot shows up randomly out from behind a tree and tries to kill me. And then I have to fight him. It's just like a micro raid fight or something, apparently, that just pops up occasionally. That's cool, but again, like that's not really that interesting. That's not like some big new thing that's gonna draw people in, you know. And I don't know. We could talk about this subject for quite a while, but I think you guys are kind of getting what I'm putting down here. I think you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. Like, Midnight, compared to like previous World of Warcraft expansions, especially early World of Warcraft expansions, like I'm playing TBC right now, bro, like TBC Anniversary, and I currently have no mana, so I can't shapeshift into a cat. Okay, now I can. Anyway, I'm playing TBC Anniversary. What did TBC bring into like World of Warcraft for people to be hyped about? Okay, first and foremost, they brought 2 new races into the game. Not bullshit allied races that you got to do some dumbass reputation grind in order to unlock them. You got the Draenei and the Blood Elves. And these 2 races were significant. Like, holy shit, the Blood Elves, aka the High Elves from like Warcraft 3 and stuff, dude, like Warcraft 2, Warcraft 4, like, dude, the freaking High Elves, the Blood Elves, they have been in World of Warcraft or in Warcraft lore for years. We've seen them in classic WoW. You know, they're like shitty, like pre-TBC models. Holy crap. People were freaking hyped for that. And the Draenei, you know, oh, you had all this new lore surrounding, you know, the Broken that we did encounter during classic WoW, you could find them in like the Swamp of Sorrows and stuff. And now we're learning about, oh, there's like these Draenei, and they're the same race as like Kil'jaeden and stuff, but these are like the non-corrupted Eredar that like fled long ago. They've crashed onto this world. Those monster things that you saw in the Swamp of Sorrows and stuff, like, dude, those things were like what are called broken Draenei. Draenei had all this lore behind them, like the battle for Shatrath, how the orcs like tried to genocide them as a people. Like, dude, the Draenei were so cool. So you get these two races that are both like well established in old Warcraft lore. Then you also get Outland. Oh, dude, we're going to Draenor, dude. We're going to like, the homeland of the orcs, and we're going to see how freaking broken it is. That's exciting. Oh shit, dude, we're going to be fighting Illidan, the betrayer atop Black Temple. Dude, that's exciting. You had the introduction of daily quests. People thought that was cool back in the day. Today, that's not too big of a deal. You had the introduction of like heroic dungeons. Dude, what the heck? 10-man raiding was like, whoa, like, I don't have to get 40 people together. Like, I can just do a 10-man raid, like do Karazhan with my homies. That was cool. What Blizzard did with TBC, the reason why like TBC is considered so freaking good and why many people consider it to be like the best WoW expansion, like of all WoW expansions, is because all Blizzard did is they looked at Classic WoW and they were like, dude, Classic WoW is addicting millions of people around the world. What is it that people fucking love about this game? And let's just do more of that. Oh, people love dungeons, but they want like a little bit more challenge and stuff. Dude, let's create heroic dungeons. People freaking loved it. Then later on, Blizzard introduced like mythic tier difficulty and stuff. Personally, this is a whole separate video. I think all that crap was so unnecessary. It's like, dude, just have 2 difficulties, bro. Like, just have 2. Like, why have all these different difficulties? Like, oh, I get to do like a new raid. Like, oh, a new raid comes out. Well, you can do it LFR, or you can do it normal, or you can do it heroic. Or, you can do mythic. It's just like all these, it's just doing the same thing over and over. It's like, dude, 2, normal, heroic, done, easy. Like, that's cool, at least in my opinion. But again, separate video for another time. Blizzard looked at like Classic WoW, they saw what worked, and they just did more of it. And that is one of the reasons why like TBC is so beloved, even to this day. It's why so many people are excited for TBC Anniversary to play TBC. Some people are playing it for the 3rd frickin' time, including me. So anyway, but compare that to like Midnight. Like Midnight is just offering, the one thing that I will say though as well, to give Midnight a little bit more positivity, in the Azeroth announcement that they made, they talked about how one of the features that they're going to introduce down the road to Midnight is labyrinths. And labyrinths are just bigger versions of delves. So for those of you that don't play, modern World of Warcraft, like a delve is just like a single player dungeon. You can take a friend in there, but like, it's a single player dungeon, and you can go in there with like your companion, Brand Bronzebeard or whatever, and you can have like, a good little time getting some treasure. It doesn't really take that long, so on and so forth. Well, Labyrinth is like a super delve, takes you quite a while to do, many like rooms and things to discover, so on and so forth, whatever. I didn't mean to press that. I think that sounds cool, but to be fair, the reason why I think that sounds great is just because this is a separate topic. Maybe I'll talk at some point about like, like comparing the modern game versus like, old Classic WoW. Like personally me, like when I look at retail WoW, like I consider retail to be more of like a single player game than an MMO. Like it's an MMO, but like, yeah, like it's an MMO by definition. But those of us that played a lot of the classic MMOs, bro, like back in the day, I mean, we kind of look at like modern WoW and like kind of these modern MMOs that come out and we're like, yeah, you guys aren't really making like, a world to like, interact with, to explore, to build upon or whatever, like Star Wars Galaxies or like Classic WoW or just whatever. Like you're not really doing that. You're just kind of creating like this big time sink that is meant to just jangle keys in front of your face. You guys have children by chance? You ever take your car keys and jangle it in front of your kid's face, and then they start going, ha, they start laughing and being all silly? I got a daughter, that's what I do. And she's like crying or freaking out. I just jangle my keys. And she's like, it's the adult video game equivalent of that chicken shit bullshit. Like, it's that. So like, I'm like not even paying attention. Anyway, I need to go back to Darkshire anyway. So yeah, like, you know, you're not really interested in creating like a world, you know, you're just interested in creating like, you know, this quick cash grab, you know, get people just hooked enough that they're willing to swipe their credit card, you know, on a, you know, like a stupid store mount or whatever. Like, that's pretty much it. But again, I won't get into all that. That's a topic for another time. And I probably have already said, like, you know, over 24 things in this video alone that's probably going to piss off somebody that's listening to this. But this is a brand new channel and it's very small. So, you know, hopefully there won't be too much hate. So, yeah, but like, I don't know. Midnight is like, one time, fellas, I was like, one time long ago, I went behind a shopping center on my bike, okay? And I go behind the shopping center, and hidden behind a dumpster was this big ass, naked, homeless black man who looked like he was covered in shit, like dog shit, and he was wearing a Santa hat. And when I look at World of Warcraft Midnight, I think about that naked ass black man with his balls hanging out. Okay, covered in shit, but at least he had a Santa hat on. Okay, the Santa hat looked nice, but everything else looked like shit. So, yeah, that's World of Warcraft Midnight. I don't think it's any surprise that so many people are not excited for it. I don't think it's any surprise that there's just so little hype for the expansion, especially with all the add-on controversy and, you know, so on. Like, yeah, so... But I think I've recorded for long enough. I think I have filled your ears with enough words, everybody. So I appreciate you all listening while I've been leveling up my druid. I appreciate it. And yep, please subscribe to the new channel. I'll be putting out more rants soon. And if you guys have any suggestions for future videos, by all means, I am reading the comment section. So thank you all for listening. I'll see you soon.